Board games, board games. I might be talking about board games, but I'm not gonna shout. Hello, good afternoon, or good whatever it is, wherever you are. I decided at 2 p.m. I mean, for those who don't know, at conventions, I do a 2 p.m. event at conventions that I go to at Spiel, which I'm going to be at in 2 weeks. Yes, this time in 2 weeks, I will hopefully be in Germany, in Essen, and I'll maybe in an hour's time because German. I think Germany's ahead. Oh no, an hour. I will be just finishing my 2 p.m. event now because it's 3 p.m. Germany right now. Anyway, 2 p.m. UK. I am Bez, and right now I am doing the Bezzy Blog. What am I going to be chatting about? As always, I'm going to be chatting a little bit about what I've played. I'll be chatting about what I'm working on, and that applies to game designs, which might be the more interesting thing, and also the publishing work. So let's start off with a couple of games that I played, and both. I've not played that many published games in the past couple of weeks. It's been 2 weeks since I chatted to you, but yet I've just not played that much. So the only things that I played, actually no, that's a lie. I also played Laser Riders. I should talk about that. Laser Riders, they're riding around. Laser Riders, do you hear the sound? Laser Riders, they'll go onto your table and then you'll put them together and keep avoiding other people's tracks if you're able. Laser Riders. So yeah, Laser Riders is a game that I totally forgot about. I played it a week at almost 2 weeks ago, and geez, I love how this is a box, but like it's deliberately designed to look really old with those white scratches and everything. And like with this metallic scratch here, and like it's all glittery and 80s, and like the scratches on the side. The box isn't even straight. I mean, the box is designed so like the out, and then you're moving things around and you're just putting it all together to make a sort of tableau, I guess you could say, like a you're swarming the table with your laser rider and be like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to get this stuff. And so yeah, Laser Riders, I'll say it's a very fun game and I do enjoy it. But one thing I always find is that, how can I put this? Like the game is like this big settings. The game is kind of like we were all having a great time. You can see like there's me and a bunch of other people, like Eric and Nat and Nick, and we're all loving it, yeah. But you see the track that's going around the table, and oh, ignore that bit. Let me actually take this off. That's just a whole bunch of memes. I was sure there were more pictures. Fundamentally, you're moving these things around, and there's always a little bit of, oh, let me take the time. There's a little bit more clunkiness in the flow than I would like. You have to change the turn order each time. And whilst I understand the purpose of changing the turn order so the faster people are going first, then it doesn't make a difference that often. even with 4 players and people getting in each other's way. So then it turns out, why not just ignore that aspect of it? Then we've got Bloodborne, which I played last week, and let me check for stuff that I can show. Oh, it was Bloodborne, the card game. So in Bloodborne, it's all about, there we go, getting cards and seeing what's going on. You've got your own little area and you're collecting blood. Basically, there's a bunch of monsters. Each time you hit a monster, each time you deal damage to it, the damage tokens, the health tokens from the monster become victory points. That's it. But you might die. If people don't hit a monster, the monster hits back. And there's this tension of, do I go to the dream world and do I bank all my victory points, or do I wait a little bit? And it was mildly interesting. I came a very close second. The person who owned the game came third. And for me, like, it kind of shows like there's a lot of luck in this game. And you can have an enemy that you roll and it does 0 damage. You could also have an enemy and then you roll and it does infinite damage, literally. Like, you could roll and then it has 1+, and then it means 1+ whatever the next roll is, and then you can have another 1+, and then you keep rolling and keep it rolling, and you can have something which deals like 10 damage. We did have a couple of hits with like 7 damage because it just kept on going, and that kind of thing is going to mess someone up and potentially take them. If I'm being honest, I found this a little bit too luck-based. I did like the agency that I had of what to put into my hand, and there's a whole hand building thing, but yeah, it was all right. I'm glad to have played it, but don't feel like I need to play it again. Bunch of Bots from Camden Games. We also played this, a bunch of us, and flipped the cards. And if cards match, because you can see all the different bots, if you've got monkey bots and monkey bots, you shout monkey bots and then you grab it. There's a couple of twists. One is that there's a silent but deadly card, at which point you just can't say anything. Shh. The second twist is that there's a card which means that you need to slap the plastic butts in the middle of the table. It's literally a plastic butt, like that. And then eventually someone gets enough cards to spell out the words bunch of butts, like shown there, and you win. We played this 3 times, mainly because each game just takes like 5 minutes, but it was decent. It was enjoyable. And that is the games that I played over the last couple of weeks. And so what have you played? And obviously I've not been talking about the stuff that I've been playtesting, which I guess might be the next thing. So let's go. I'm going to talk about events. So, events. Getting ready for Spiel, and I need to book more meetings. That's it. I am super stressed. I'll get to that in a moment. I've somehow lost my passport. I say somehow, but it's fairly clear how that happened because there's a lot of disorganisation around here. I booked my appointments. I've got my new passport thing. It's all in here. I've also got my fun photos. There's me, and like they gave me one in red. That's me. And but I do have a standard passport photo. I'm going to get it sorted hopefully on Tuesday, and then they're meant to send me the passports within a week, which means that it should arrive on the Monday or before the Monday before I'm leaving. I have paid for the fast track, but yeah, even if I don't get to leave when I was planning to, I think I am going to book a flight and get myself over maybe on the Wednesday or something, whenever my passport actually arrives. Because it's so important to be there. This year, I have booked I've got 2 meetings so far, very few, but one of them is with a publisher that I wanted to speak to for ages, Blue Orange. I love Blue Orange. People will know I love photosynthesis. Oh yeah, I also played Vikings on board. Played Vikings on board, chaotic strategy. My housemates felt grumpy because they misunderstood the rules, and then there was a point where I said, "Do you want to stop playing?" And they were like, "Oh no, let's keep playing." And then later on, they were like, "Oh, let's stop playing." And so I feel like for a game that's got the amount of chaos, I can understand how it might be like 10% more complicated than it needs to be, but I don't know. Anyway, so for Spiel, sorry, I'm now bad mouthing Blue Orange games, but I love photosynthesis. I enjoy taco, cat, goat cheese pizza. I mean, obviously they started with Double, and like Blue Orange in 2020, I had a game idea that I really wanted to pitch to them, and then I met them, and then I got their email, and I was like, no, now there's a pandemic. But that game that I wanted to pitch to them, it became a game about quickly matching words to pictures, but never words to words or pictures to pictures. And in the intervening years, the fact that I've now got a bag and like I can say, hey, you want to hear about auction games? Here's a game about auctioning cubes after winning an auction to become the auctioneer. And even though it's not officially testing, this is my new model. Make the game, be happy with it, print a bunch, and like it's easy to print those and give them away. It means that I don't have to spend half an hour making each prototype and give it to them. It means that I can give them something that looks a bit more like how it might ultimately look, even though, you know, I'm assuming that they will make much nicer boxes and cards and everything, and new artists. And the fact that all of these games do have ridiculous names hopefully tells them that, hey, it's okay for you to totally rebrand this, because this is a game about quickly grabbing cards and judging them against free descriptions. So I've got this meeting that I'm super excited about. I've also got another meeting with publisher, let's call them publisher mystery. Yeah, mystery publisher who wants to launch 3 of my speed games. And if I get Blue Orange to sign them up, then obviously that would be my preference. But this is a small company, and I think that there can be some passion there, and I would love to work with them, and I'm going to chat to them on Sunday. So now is the time for me to, even though it's last minute, see if I can book some last minute meetings. We'll see how that works. That is that. How's stuff for me personally? Let's talk about personal life. Personal life. I have used 2 different knives. Personal life. So yeah, cooking, I've got a small knife and a big knife, and yeah, one is more like I used the small one for peeling and for date, but like if I'm chopping a lot, you want the big knife anyway. But it's not just about cooking. I wanted to mention passport stress. That's definitely a big part of my life right now, just being really stressed about my passport. Um, the other thing that is going on is my gratitude journal. Like, I like to believe that I'm fairly grateful. Like, I like to take a moment to be like, yeah, you know what? I'm really lucky that where I live, and there's this beautiful park near me, and I'm in this metropolis, and I've got access to people, and I'm grateful that Jess is, well, I'll get to that in a moment, is helping me at Spiel, and I'm grateful to have people who are enjoying my work. But like this gratitude journal, it's literally just 4 questions, and then I answer them in the morning, and then another 4 or 5 questions that I answer in the evening. And having that 5 minutes to do it, it's bringing in a bit more of a routine, and it's helping me actually, because last week it was like, okay, let's start some weekly habits. What do you want to do? And my weekly habits this week, it might sound like, hey, this is a bare minimum, but sometimes I feel a bit depressed. So it's like brush my teeth twice a day, Go shower and get outside. And the truth is, I don't always do these things. I even wrote them down, and yesterday I just felt a bit down and I didn't take good care of myself. But mostly it's kind of reminding me, haha, I do this, and then I tick a little box. And so having this gratitude journal, it's a really cool thing. And when I get to the end of it, because it's meant to last 3 months, I will let you all know how it was and maybe do a full review. Let's talk about my design work. Design work, design work. I hope that I'm not a jerk. Design work, design work. Why would I mention that? I don't know. Design work. More things than I have space. Let's go roughly in this order. There are about 5 different games. So firstly, my new auction game. I'm really excited by this. When I say my new auction game, it's within the past, it's since UK Games Expo. So what I wanted to do is make a really simple auction game. Because a game about auctioning cubes after winning an auction to become the auctioneer, I think it's relatively simple and people are enjoying it. But actually having that real-time English auction is not as simple, I believe, as having a turn order until pass. So turn order until pass, I think, is the default in games for a reason, because it's simple and it works. I think this is worth 2. You think Alice thinks it's worth 3. Betty thinks it's worth 3 as well, but can't raise the bid, so just passes. And then it comes back to me, and I say 5 because that was the number in my head all along. And then maybe Alice goes up to 6, and then I pass. You know how it is, turn order until pass. And so the nice thing about this type of auction is it really forces your mind to think about what's going on and what's the ideal number to bid. I'm going to take 5 minutes to talk about it, and someone on Mastodon asked, how can it possibly work with 2 players? Well, they didn't put it in that exact way, but that seemed to be what they were asking, because I believe that this is a 2 to 5 player game. I played it 2 times, 3 I think it was 2 times yesterday. Let me double check, actually. It was either 2 times or 3 times yesterday. Yeah, I played it 2 times with a friend who was then excited enough to play it a second time. Then they really had to leave. And I had someone over today and we played it 3 times together. And it does work out a little differently. And I played it against a shopkeeper who wanted to play it 3 times in a row. So the 2-player game, it's not the perfect version of it, but it's working really well. Because, so what's going to happen is, so in my mind when I made this, it was like, okay, if stuff is, what's the simplest possible auction? Turn order until pass. What's the simplest possible thing to be auctioning? Well, it would be stuff that's worth a set number. That's really boring. That's a terrible idea. That's not going to give any intrigue. Hello, Slivers. It is lovely to see you. I'm just going through the design work that I've been doing in the past couple of weeks. I hope that that feels at least mildly interesting. I'm talking about an auction game that, so, and how it came to be. And then I was thinking, okay, what if we have a majority? And like I'd been working on a couple of other games where the person with the majority gets some points, and it adds, how can I put this? It adds interaction, it adds uncertainty, because if I've got 3 reds, or let's say I've got 2 reds and 2 yellows and 1 grey, I mean, if I've got the most, amazing, that's worth like 3 points each. If I've got the second most, or then still pretty good, I've got 2 points. Third most, 1 point. That's what I've kind of started to do in my prototypes in the past few months. 3, 2, 1, it's a really simple thing, and then you can build the rest of the game around that. And with that, we played 3 times. Well, we played once, and it was okay. It was okay. the end of the game was kind of dull and boring. And he was like, I've got an idea. What if the game ends as soon as one person gets 5 of a colour? And they will get 5 points for that colour, and no one else will get anything. And suddenly we play twice more. Myself and David Brain and Paul Mansfield. And David Brain was laughing, almost in hysterics, because it was the tension of, oh my gosh, this could end the game right now. Oh, we've still not got this thing. Oh, and it's the uncertainty of what's going to come out. It amplifies that. It amplifies the random nature of when the game will end. And there's something really interesting about that. And so I did play 2 players after that a few times with my ex-housemate, Simon, and we added a rule that each card is worth 1 point. So then this added an interesting thing, because cards can be worth 1 money, 2 money, 5 money, but they're all worth 1 point, which means that now because the cards, I've homogenized them to be like normal money, 1, 2, and 5, and it works well. And so if you go from 5 to 6, that's a big jump. And from 7 to 8, that's a big jump. But interestingly, 8 you would normally pay with 3 cards, and 10 you'd normally pay with 2 cards. So 10 doesn't feel that much more than 8. And it gives the money, because you never get change, so it gives the money this little texture, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And I'm really proud of it. The only thing I'm working out now is exactly how many discs are going to be in the bag. I'm currently thinking, I've got 2 sheets of paper. This is the scoring, so it's like 5, 8, 11, 15, and then you get 2 points for having the 5s, 1 point per card left in your hand, and it's going to be 3, 2, and 1 for the majorities. Maybe it's 4 of one color just to add even more spice to that color. I don't know. Maybe, and I do need to work out some maths later today, but I'm really excited by this. I honestly think this might be a really, really good auction game. And yeah, not just like, anyway. So that is one thing I've been working on. Let's talk about the price manipulation game. Someone really liked it, but other people didn't quite so much, and they felt like the flow was shit. So sorry for the vulgar language, but yeah, my price manipulation game, it's an auction bluffing game. The way that it works is I'll put down a pile of 2 piles of cards, and I've got to say how many cards are in each pile. And one of them might be an auction, one of them might be a bid, or they might both be bluffs. And that's basically it. And then it goes round. And if it's a bluff, you might be doing nothing at all, in which case all the cards come to your hand. Or it might be an action. And the action might be, okay, I increase the price of this color, or I decrease the price of this color, or hey, I trash some of the things in the middle, or there's even a card that just says take one from the middle. And so potentially everything in the middle could get trashed or taken or used to increase the value of stuff. And so you could win the bid, pay 6 cards, and be like, oh my gosh, I get literally nothing. That's rubbish. And like paying, if someone's like in the bid on their own, like if you do a bid of like literally just 1, then it's kind of like a backup. But then you've got this kind of double bluff going on. You really need to think about what's going on, and I think it's totally unique. I mean, that's the worst part about it, that it does have that clunky flow, because you need to put down the cards in order, and then you need to reveal in order, and then you take the things, and it makes sense to me. But someone was like, yeah, I love simultaneous action games, and this is not quite simultaneous, so it just feels a bit wrong. But yeah, I'm unsure if there's an audience for it. Fundamentally, if there's at least 5 people I can find who enjoy the flow, then I'll probably carry on. If I can't find 5 people, then it's probably not worth me working on. But like, it feels interesting enough that, yeah, I'd love to hear what you think about it. The next thing that I was working on was a co-design with Andy Beardsley. So Andrew Beardsley, best known for Zombie Princess, and helped me with a game about quickly grabbing creatures that sorcery difference and counting your turnips. So this is a disco game. It's a rhythm-based game, and every time there's a beat, you've got to do something. So maybe you need to slam down a card, and then when you flip over your next card, it's got an arrow going any which way, and you've got to get that arrow going the correct direction, which is normally that way. Maybe you've got to get your arrows. It's like a dancing together. It's like the Soul Train, the old TV show, which I've never seen, but two people dancing together. And then if one person messes up, you both mess up that thing. We don't quite like the scoring yet. The scoring takes too much time for a party game. The actual game, people are loving playing it. I'm loving playing it, and there's so much energy behind it. There's something really cool. And then if you're not putting the card down and it just point with your hands, you might go, yeah. You might go, oh. And then you've got these like other cards that I've suggested bringing in, which is maybe inspired by yogi, but you've got to have like a hand behind your head, and then you've got to do things with one hand, or you've got to hand touching shoulder, or like a hand on hip, or like a hand on your arm, and like you've got, so like it's kind of disco moves. And then there's one where you've got to have like your pinkies touching nothing, one where you've got to have index fingers touching nothing, and then it's like you're kind of jiving with your fingers, and it feels different from everything else. This is Andy's game, but I came on board as a co-designer, and I'm really grateful to Andy for letting me join on board. And there's no way, I was going to say there's no way I could self-publish it. I could theoretically self-publish it, but it really needs a big publisher, and it's definitely not a Bezzy bargain bag. It's like a big board, bunch of cards, bunch of special effects, bunch of tiles. But yeah, I'm loving it. Then the other thing it co-design is a game with Simon, Giansimone Migoni. So I had a card in Yogi, which was like box on head, and another one that's card on head. And Simon was inspired by like, oh, this is interesting. We could make a game about this. And then we actually played a game where Simon was balancing stuff on my head, and I was just trying to look straight ahead while we saw how high it can get. Then I did the same for Simon. It's fun stacking on someone's head and encouraging them, and then you don't feel like it's all based on you, because rather than a table wobbling, which in theory shouldn't wobble, their head wobbling is kind of part of the game. But we played on Friday, we had fun, and myself and like 4 others were playing, and there was laughter. Everyone was having a good time. But then at the end, it's like, is there enough variety? Not currently. Is there enough moments of big excitement? Currently, not really. And so it doesn't really feel like it, like a really, like, it doesn't. And when I said to people, like, would you choose to take it off a shelf at a board game cafe or at your place? Like, people were like, thumbs neutral or even a thumb down, because they said, yeah, I feel like I've seen it all, and it was fun to play, and it was fun to try, but it feels like that's it. So yeah, James Wallace suggested, rather than doing Rhino Hero on your head, how about Buckaroo on your body? But then Buckaroo on your body feels like it would probably turn into Yogi. So yeah, I'll chat with. That's something that I tried, and I'm definitely glad that I tried it. And thank you, Simon. Oh yeah, we've got 2 other games. So these ones I've not done so much work on, but my deck construction game, I'm seeking playtesters and pondering cards. I've been what I'm trying to do, because for those who don't know, where's my deck construction game? Here it is. So you've got a bunch of, oh no, I don't want to shuffle that one. Let me shuffle this one, which is already shuffled. So this is my deck construction game. I believe it's kind of innovative, because Firstly, all the cards are multifunctional. You can do the spell or you can do the module. And second, and the way that the modules work is you would attach the contraptions to this contraption. So you pay a triangle and then you get to attach stuff for free. Well, without spending an action. And you could have like a little creature. Here's a little creature. And then now it's got one eye and a hand. That means that it can grab and it can steal stuff. This would be better. Like a mouth means that it can deal damage and destroy castles, which is how you win. And two hands means it could steal two stuff. But if you had a bigger creature to start off with, like you could build it up until it's maybe like stealing a bunch of stuff and it's got like not just one mouth, but two mouths. And like, there you go. So like it's a creature that comes together. I hope that's visible. And that's my deck construction game. You're assembling your creatures, you're creating your contraptions, and then boom, in your face, I'm going to smack your castle. I'm proud of it. It worked well at my party. I made it. And frankly, if people hadn't enjoyed it, I would have given up at that point. But Mike Nudd said, hey, Bez, if you want me to rewrite your rules, at some point, I would do this. Like Alan Paul said, I love this. And I would love to keep playing and working on this. And then Kerry Levere, my good friend from... Yeah, I hope Kerry's okay with me naming them. But Kerry's playing it with her child and they're enjoying it. And then I hear that Ruth and Sinjin are playing it together, which is amazing. And so I've got all these people who are already really enjoying it. And then I had like 6 or 7 copies that I took to Tabletop Scotland that I potentially had. And I said, okay, I'll sell them for $5 each. And yeah, Andy, who played, said, this is really fun. I'll buy 4 copies. I know 4 people. And so there's one thing about being fun when people get it for free, but people are actually buying it and spending money on it. But what I want to do is to have a playtester network where I can print a totally new edition and maybe 50 copies, and it's a small set of 72 cards. Normally in a deck construction game, you get like 140 cards, but the entire idea of this is that you get tiny, tiny deck sizes of just like 20 cards. Like normally with a deck construction game, you're playing with 60. And the way I made that work is because things fit together in a modular way, because things are multifunctional, and also there's a keyword recycle where you turn stuff from your discard pile, you chuck one of it out of the game to make sure that the game does definitely end, and then put the rest of it back into your draw pile, either at the top or bottom, depending on what you want. And that's really powerful, and it helps to means that a 20 card deck does actually work really well. But there's also an argument that maybe a couple more might not be a terrible idea. Anyway, I'm at the point where I'm pondering cards, and I'm going to keep doing that. And maybe by the end of October, I'll have some files, and then I'll launch some. If you are interested in playtesting this, if you are based in the UK, or if you're based like, you know what, if you're based elsewhere, like I'll totally send you stuff, but I will send you product and get yourself plus 3 others. That's what I've said. I want people to be doing small tournaments. It's not just about me and you are playing. If you don't have at least 4 people playing, then that's not enough for an ecosystem to try out different decks. But once you've got 4 people, then you've got divergent strategies, you've got a little bit of a meta game, and I can say, okay, which cards are people enjoying? Which cards are people not enjoying? Because I want to make a game where every card is really meaningful. And in a trading card game, in a collectible card game, quite often they'll have some that are strictly better than others, even within the same set, which is quite ridiculous. And quite often that might be, oh yeah, the rarer cards is just clearer look better, and what's going on there? That's terrible. That's I'm not going to call it inhumane, but it's not very consumer centric. I want something where buy a stack of cards and every one of these cards is meaningful. Like I'm thinking, oh, this is pulling me in 5 different directions of how I could build my deck and what am I going to add. And then if it gets to be a big thing, I would ideally like, maybe once every 3 months, there's a tiny little edition, like a set of 20 cards, something like that. So then you get the previous year's kind of full set plus those 20 cards, and like, okay, let's get these cards and put them together in a new way. And I want a thing where you go to a release event. You go to the release event and then you spend like 20 quid and then you play and then you play a few different games, and then at the end of it you've got a deck that is not that far away from standard power level. That's what I ultimately want. Something that's affordable, something that's accessible. Anyway, sorry if that got into a wee bit of a rant. The next thing that I'm working on is my Speedy action tile and bag building combat game, which is like I need to find it, and this is my personal life. I have too much stuff I need to clear. I need to put stuff on shelves. I need to get an organizational system. Anyway, that's my sad moment. So let's carry on talking about it's not just all about design, it's also about publishing. So a few things that I've done. My big achievement, major achievement, after it's 2 years and a bit overdue, but I do have an excuse of, yeah, I said it would come out at 2021, but the Kickstarter finished in, I think, April 2020. So like the Kickstarter was launched at the start of March when I had never heard of COVID. And then at the start of April, I was like, okay, let's hope that this goes quickly. And then we had COVID and then Brexit, and now it's just like, I cannot do this. But I have made now the categorical boxes. And this is original, but I've sent off categorical. I'm proud of the way it looks, and I played it with a bunch of folk on Friday. We played actually categorical. I think I just watched 4 other people play and taught them the game, and they were like, yeah, this is fun. And then they liked the graphics, and I'm proud of the graphics. It's here, and I hope that people enjoy the way that the game kind of teaches you how to play it as you go through, because it's got cards interspersed to tell you the games, and that is my big thing. I have sent it all off to the backers. There are a few backers that need to still fill out their survey, but yeah. I'm still thinking about, reprinting and how that will work. Spiral Galaxy has a bunch of my games. Vanguard in Poland has a few of my games, and I've got some games like there. You can't see them, they're off screen. But when I emigrate, what I would like is for my games to generally be in stock. And I've got so many things at this point that I think it would be fairly simple to say, okay, let's do another print run. Let's do 100 of this, 100 of that, 200 of this one, and 150 of this one. And I think that if I'm working with like 200 maximum of something, that's a small enough quantity that it should generally sell out fairly quickly. And I shouldn't have too much stock left with Spiral Galaxy or anything. And I could potentially also send some stuff to Vanguard for next year at Spiel, where I'm going to be part of the Norwegian stand. So we are going to be it's a bunch of Norwegian people and me, because I get to be an honorary Norwegian. Maybe I could like draw a Norwegian flag on my clothes or something. I feel like I should do something. Anyway, but that's not a problem for right now. That's a problem that I will be pondering. I'll be having a chat with Agard tomorrow. The other thing is Jess, my lovely friend Jess, is going to be helping at Spiel, and I'm excited to do these 2 p.m. events. Like, is that to do with publishing? It's kind of to do with marketing. It's to do with getting to know more people. Like, I'm doing these 2 p.m. events. I'm really excited, and then we'll be there, and then I'll have the game, and I'm actually traveling over just later today in 3 hour. In about 2 hours and a bit, I'll be heading off to go to another part of London where I'll be teaching Jess a bunch of my games so Jess can help teach them at Spiel, and I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, if you ever want to join me at UK Games Expo, I'd love to have you with me. That's basically what I've been up to. As always, if you've got any questions, then I'm very happy to answer. If you ask questions now, then that's great. Or if you ask questions in the YouTube comments, that's fine. Or the Facebook, I also see that. And I guess my final thought is that it's hard to say goodbye. Like, whether it's saying goodbye at the end of a stream, whether it's saying goodbye to games. I mean, like, do I get enough joy out of this? Like, it's a cool thing to have. It's shiny and it's fun. But yeah, like, there's a lot of stuff that I should be saying goodbye to. It's hard to say goodbye to the UK. Like, for those who don't know, I'm emigrating and I'm still here, and like, it's taking a lot of time to kind of finalize that and say goodbye to friends. When I'm at friends' houses, I want them to stay forever. I want to be there forever. I just want to snooze and fall asleep on each other and stuff. Or like, sometimes it's hard to say goodbye to a project, and that's so important. I mean, goodbyes are important because they allow us the space to do something new. And even though a couple of these projects I've talked about, they might not be working brilliantly, sometimes if I'm self-publishing, if it's like, hey, I like this, but is there an audience? Then sure, printing even 50 copies might be a viable thing, because if it doesn't sell, that amount of money isn't going to cripple me, and maybe it'll find an audience, but I want it to be a game that people will buy because, hey, I like Bezzy games, and then they buy it and then they enjoy it. I don't want it to be like, hey, I like Bezzy games and then buy it and then that feels a bit clunky. No, that's a terrible result. So sometimes it's like, you know what, maybe I just forget about this. If I can't get it working nicely, if there's not at least a small number of people who love it, what's the point? Let me spend my time, let me spend my energy on something that is sparking joy. And it might be that right now, next year, UK Games Expo, I might not have any new party games. I'll probably have some sort of new creatures, but I can't see myself, I don't have any real inspiration, but what I could have is like some light strategy games that you need to have some extra components or something for. I don't know. But it's important to say, you know what, I've done that. Time to move on to a different genre. Sometimes, hey, I've spent time with this, but this game isn't working. Sometimes it's a case of, hey, this was a cool idea, and I learned a lot from it, but there's no audience, and I enjoy it, and Denim loves it. But 3 other people don't like it, and if that's representative of people generally, then like, is that, if it was like 40% of people love it, then great. But if it's like 2 out of a million people, then obviously not so great. But like, yeah, that's it. And in the vein of saying goodbye, I guess I should remind you all to feel free to ask questions. And if you want to check me out, I am Stuff by Bez, bigcartel.com, twitter.com/stuffbybez, or bloody heck. Mastodon and Blue Sky, I am on there as well. Search for Stuff by Bez on Instagram, or twitch.tv/stuffbybez, youtube.com/stuffbybez, or stuffbybez.com/discord will take you to my Discord, where you can hear more about my games and join in. And so for now, the only thing left for me to really say is bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Do, do, do. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. Lots of love. Bye, 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 bye.